All right, let's dive in. Today, we're going to dig into a story where geology, history, and just pure, unbelievable luck all crash together on the shores of Alaska. We're going to explore how this one-of-a-kind set of geological circumstances created one of the richest and, frankly, weirdest gold rushes in history. And you know what? The story actually starts with a modern-day puzzle.
So here's the puzzle for you. When you think of gold, Australia probably pops into your head, right? But get this, right now, today, miners in Alaska are pulling astonishing amounts of gold from the Bering Sea. Meanwhile, prospectors in Australia, they're lucky if they find a few grams. So what gives? Why is that? What makes the coast of Nome so incredibly special?
I mean, the difference is just staggering. You can see it right here. In Alaska, miners are dredging the sea and pulling up ounces of gold every week. But in Australia, they're out there battling the desert heat for just a few inconsistent grams. It's night and day. And this incredible anomaly, well, it wasn't created overnight. To really get it, we have to wind the clock way, way back. Okay, so our story begins, and you might find this surprising, not on those vast, wind-swept beaches, but actually a little ways inland on this small, unassuming creek, all the way back in 1898. It was right here that a chance discovery would light the fuse for the entire Nome gold rush. So meet the guys who started it all. They were famously called the Three Lucky Swedes, which is a great name, except, fun fact, Japhet Lindeberg was actually Norwegian. So you had a tailor, a coal miner, and a reindeer herder. Not exactly your typical prospectors, right? But they stumbled upon massive gold deposits on Anvil Creek, and you better believe word of their find lit the fuse on a brand new stampede north. And man, what a stampede it was. The news just spread like wildfire. By the summer of 1900, the population of Nome, which was basically just a collection of tents on a beach, exploded to an estimated 20,000 people. I mean, can you imagine? Thousands were pouring in from the fading Klondike rush, just desperate to strike it rich. But here's the twist. When these thousands of stampers finally arrived after these grueling, long journeys, they found a huge problem. The original prospectors and all their friends had already staked every single inch of the gold-rich creeks. For most of them, the dream was over before it even began. So now they're broke, they're frustrated, and they're just camped out on the beach with absolutely nowhere to go. And then, a moment of pure, unbelievable luck. The story goes that a frustrated soldier, one of the guys sent there to keep the peace, was just walking along the shore, and he just happens to run his hands through the sand. And what does he find? Gold. Not just a tiny speck, but real, actual, recoverable gold. The cry went up, "There's gold on the beach!" And listen, this wasn't some small find. In 1899 alone, miners pulled an estimated $2 million worth of gold, and that's in 1899 dollars, directly from the beach sands, just using simple little rocker boxes. It's insane. For thousands of those disappointed prospectors, the beach itself had become the gold mine. But this incredible discovery, of course, raised a huge question. Yeah, how is this even possible? I mean, gold is supposed to be locked up in quartz veins, deep inside mountains, or buried in creek beds, right? So how did millions of dollars worth of it get sifted and sorted onto a 40-mile stretch of beach, just sitting there, waiting to be scooped up? Well, the answer is an absolutely epic story written in stone, ice, and water. You see, this wasn't just some lucky accident. The shores of Nome were the result of a perfect, multi-million-year-long geological process. A sequence of events that created what you could only call nature's perfect gold trap. It basically happened in 4 key steps. So, step 1, about 110 million years ago, you've got these incredible tectonic forces creating mountains and cooking up gold-bearing quartz veins deep in the bedrock. Okay, step 2, for millions and millions of years, erosion, wind, rain, you name it, slowly wore down those mountains, setting the gold free. Step 3, and this is so crucial, massive ice age glaciers acted like giant bulldozers. They just scraped up all that gold-rich soil and rock from a huge area and then dumped it all right along the coastline. And then finally, step 4, as the ice melted and the sea level rose, the ocean's waves came in and did the final sorting job. And hey, this isn't just some theory we're throwing around. Geologists were on the ground studying this unique phenomenon over 100 years ago. This report right here from the U.S. Geological Survey in 1908, it details the incredible placer deposits of the Seward Peninsula. It's a scientific proof of what those miners had discovered by pure chance. This quote really sums up that final critical step perfectly. The ocean surf acted as a colossal natural sluice box. So a sluice box, if you don't know, is that piece of equipment miners use to separate heavy gold from lighter sand and gravel. But here, nature did all the work on a scale you can barely imagine. It just washed away all the lighter stuff and left behind these concentrated layers of heavy gold, right there on the beach for the taking.
But you know how it goes. Where there is incredible wealth, there is almost always incredible greed. The geological miracle of Nome very quickly gave way to a very human drama of corruption and outright theft, a scandal that would go down in history.
I mean, just listen to this quote from a federal appeals judge back in 1901. It tells you everything you need to know. He said what happened in Nome was so corrupt, so brazen, that it may be safely and fortunately said to have no parallel in the jurisprudence of this country. No parallel in all of American law. So who were the bad guys? Well, here are the main players. You had Alexander Mackenzie, a really powerful and corrupt political boss. And he conspired with Arthur Noyes, the man he'd helped get appointed as the new federal judge in Nome. Their plan was as simple as it was audacious. Use the power of the court itself to literally steal the richest mining claims from the people who had discovered them. And this all happened so fast, it's dizzying. Just look at this timeline. Mackenzie and Noyes arrive in Nome on July 19th. Just 4 days later, Judge Noyes, without any kind of proper hearing, appoints his buddy Mackenzie as the receiver of the most valuable mines. This basically gave him total legal control. Mackenzie's men immediately moved in and seized everything: the mines, the equipment, even the miners' personal property. And when a higher court in San Francisco ordered them to stop, they just ignored the orders. They kept ignoring them until finally federal marshals had to be sent all the way to Nome to arrest Mackenzie for contempt. Now, this whole scandal was so dramatic, so cinematic, that it actually became the plot for a best-selling novel, The Spoilers, by an author named Rex Beach, who had actually been there and seen it all happen firsthand. That story has since been turned into a movie 5 different times, starring huge legends like John Wayne and Marlene Dietrich. So, after all that human drama, let's circle back. What made Nome a true one-off? Let's bring it all together and really understand why this geological and historical moment was so utterly unique. The sheer scale of this treasure is just hard to wrap your head around. We're talking at least 3.6 million troy ounces of gold have been pulled from the Nome district. That is an immense fortune, all created by that perfect storm of geological events. Okay, so let's go all the way back to our original question. Why Alaska and not Australia? Well, this slide lays it all out, side by side. Alaska had that recent mountain building right near the coast. And crucially, it had those massive Ice Age glaciers to act as the delivery system. Australia, on the other hand, its geology is way older, its gold is far inland, and it was almost entirely ice-free. It simply didn't have that 1-2 punch of geology and glaciology that made Nome possible. It was missing the key ingredients. Ultimately, what happened at Nome was a unique collaboration across millions of years. You had the mountains that created the gold, the glaciers that delivered it to the coast, and then the sea, which did the final work of concentrating it into a treasure hoard right on the beach. It was a series of events so specific, it's happened almost nowhere else on Earth. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? The entire saga of Nome, the stampede, the incredible discovery, the greed, the fortunes made and lost, all of it was set in motion by tectonic plates and glaciers millions of years before a single person ever set foot there. It just leaves you with this one last thought. How many other great stories of human history were actually written first in stone?